All right, y'all, for the sake of time, it's noon, so we'll go ahead and start. And Happy New Year. Welcome to the first season meeting of 2024. I'm Tina, I am your chair. We're going to save introductions, I guess, to the end.
Oh, no, I don't know why those aren't on there.
Yeah, I just noticed it wasn't. So,
That's
we'll
my
go
bad.
ahead and start with introductions. It does not look like it's gonna be a terribly long meeting. So, if you wanna start, Krista, and then we'll move over to Bailey and around the room first.
Sounds good. I am Carissa Miller. I'm the CEAS coordinator, and I'm also the community services director at Stillwater Individual and Family Therapy Services.
Bailey Connor, we're with Centerstone as a rehab specialist. And our newly elected vice chair.
Yeah. And I'm Megan Broughton. I'm the Health and Human Sciences educator with Purdue Extension.
Oh, my God. Dylan Maker, DFP coordinator, project director at the partnership.
Shania Flamion, LifeSpring. Center.
As I said, I'm Tina Mitchell and I'm the chair of CEAS, but I'm also the community outreach coordinator for LifeSpring in the Eastern Division.
Kathy Sampson, I work with Our Place in New Albany, and I've got some programs here for seniors in Scottsburg.
Kelly Markham, I'm community partnership with the Colby Rice VA Medical Center Global.
I'm Kendra, Scott County Partnership. I'm Melinda Lowry, Scott County Partnership, overseeing the work of Empower. Amy Tedrow, Empower. Lily Broaddus, Empower.
Cody White, Prevention Outreach and Infectious Disease Manager at Health Plus Indiana.
Eva Beaker, I'm the infectious disease specialist with Health Plus Indiana.
Don't think there's behavioral health regional coordinator with DFHA.
Carol Atchison, I'm community advocate with Operation Bear. Dawn Sanders, with Covered Kids and Families with the Scott County Partnership.
Steve Carroll, assistant chief.
And we'll go ahead and move, virtually, we'll come back to the room for the ones that are coming in.
Yeah, I've got your list over here.
So I'll just call out your name and if you would not mind introducing yourself, Adam.
Good afternoon, everyone. Adam Ballmore, just a citizen to help.
Thank you, Adam. Angie.
Angie Washburn, Purdue University.
Audrey.
Hi, my name is Audrey Salmon and I'm with Anthem Medicaid, Community Relations for the Southeastern region of Indiana.
Thank you, Audrey. Chris Wakeham.
He may have had to step away, but Crystal Wakeman is with Kiwanis.
Okay, thank you. Katrina.
Hi, everyone. Katrina Coriel with the Scott County Partnership.
Chris Meyer. And Chris may have stepped away as well. Chris is with DMHA. Liz. She just disappeared.
Oh, no, she shifted that.
Let's try Marilyn.
I'm Marilyn Sink, Southeast Outreach Manager for the Indiana Youth Institute.
Liz South, are you there? And then Olivia, would you like to introduce yourself?
She may have done that. Yeah. All right. Chris is having technical difficulties, so she said region prevention coordinator for region 9.
And back into the room for those that did not get to introduce herself. Do you want to go to Lisa Girl, also
getting all this stuff. Negative. So we'll go ahead on to approve our meeting minutes. Does anybody have any questions about the meeting minutes or has anything to add first? If not, we approve those by consensus. You don't have anything to add, we'll go ahead and do that. Then we'll move on to approving the treasurer's report, which is right here on the agenda.
And I can kind of run through that. Kelly wasn't feeling well, so she had to leave today. So at the beginning of December, we started out with 25,217.51. We had no deposits for December. So the coordinator pay and the opener settlement pay were paid out. We bought lunch for everyone at the December meeting. And then we filed for our 501c3 application. So fingers crossed, it said that we should know by January 8th. Now it's the IRS, so we're gonna know by February or something. So fingers crossed for that. We paid for the social media marketing for that first video that went out. And then we paid for the 3 videos for our video. So that left our current balance at $18,412.51. This month, there will be liabilities of the year. And so at the end of January, we should have 17,212. Any questions, Brian?
All right, again, we approve those by questions. We'll go ahead and do this. Moving on to old business, she just spoke briefly about the videos. Can you give us an update on those?
Yeah, so our negative self-talk video was released on social media December 15th, whatever month that was. And so that's out there into the world. Our grief video has gone through the final cut, and so we have that to release. We were just talking, I don't know if that will be released the 12th or the 19th of January, so that will be released. We have some edits to make on the LGBTQIA+ video. Once those edits are completed, then we will release that probably. So those are almost finished. The only liabilities we have outstanding from those would be the social media marketing and Jackal Jones.
All right, the love notes, the next iteration starts this next Monday. So if anybody knows anyone that still needs to sign up that hasn't, there is still time to get in. Anything else you want to add to that, Krista?
Really, we have released what we paid. So we paid for advertising. All of that information was viewed like 1,500 times, and we marketed that for parents of teens 13 to 17. There were 50-something clicks, and that was fairly early on in December still. And we still only have 2 that are registered. So if someone has some magic bullet about how to get youth involved in things, I mean, and the counselors put it up on their boards, like it was shared in the JAG classes. So the location really was dependent on the number of people. And so we put out that like it would be in Scottsburg. One of the youth that registered is actually around County. And so we're looking at shifting that to Boston. Because driving from Boston is a little bit better.
And the last iteration, we didn't even do incentives. This time we had really good. Wow.
Yeah. So we did Facebook ads because, I mean, as old people that have teenagers in that age range, we use Facebook. So when you pay for the Facebook analytics, that's when it gives you the breakdown of like who clicks, like not necessarily names, it to people who are generally interested in relationship skills, generally interested in like psychosocial development, like all kinds of different like specifics when I did the advertising. So, I mean, it got plenty of views and it got plenty of clicks, like for people to click on the ticket link. It was just people didn't know the registration. And this is for team. Yeah, I don't know. Transportation barrier, we've not had anybody on social media ask about transportation.
I've seen it's just that personal. They don't know, they're scared, it's real. That's what we call it. They don't trust.
And I've had a lot of you say that they were interested in doing it, but like work. I mean, that's one of the big things, like work. And like, because a lot of the regulars were interested, but then they were struggling. Trying to navigate work and extra. It's hurting.
Yeah, I attend the TLC lounge too.
I know we cheered, I mean, as much as we could think of.
Can we have like a meet and greet thing for that, like a day that's like something different, like a meet the people, like they don't have trust issues?
So JAG has invited us to come in. Now, they told us that they would get with us in January for more specifics, but they are inviting us to come in and talk about the program too. So we will be doing that at some point over the next month. So depending on what, what their. So that may kind of help, but that will just be the JAG students. But I mean, Tina and I'm sure can drop into the like the TLC lounge or please. Yeah. Oh. It may be for those of you that are having difficulty hearing audio. I have the owl in a different location than normal, so I'm gonna see if moving it helps. Sorry, Lisa, you might have an owl in your face.
I'll be really loud.
Does that help? So that's probably the issue with that I have the owl in a different. Sorry about that, y'all. So, if you're done discussing love notes, we'll move on to the okay, so I have a lovely end of year report for suicide and overdose fatality review. This would be really beneficial for anybody for grant writing, especially in any of the areas that we kind of identified as problem areas. It's like 10 pages, so I didn't print out a whole bunch of copies. I have one paper copy, but I can email it to anybody that wants it. So just shoot me an email if you would like to see a copy of that or would like to have a copy of that for your own. And I just go ahead and type. Yeah, I could do that too. I can put a link to it in our, it's also on the C Drive, so like where you can pull the agenda, there's a copy of it in there. But I can put a link to that in my follow up. Yes, that's true.
The update of poverty simulation. And so I have contacted them here tonight. I'll have this done at the end of April, starting in the spring date. In our executive meeting, we were discussing the time factor. And we decided it might be best to offer it in 2 different sessions, one for the day and one for the evening. That way people are demographic numbers are those that are I'm mainly myself on that team to have the simulation coming down. We love if somebody else or a few people to raise their hand and be part of that team effort.
I had Liz down as well.
Liz and maybe myself.
Okay. And then Angie, would that be something that you might, be interested in helping out with? It's the.
I can't really hear.
Oh, okay, so it's the poverty simulation, so poverty simulation kind of gives, I'm trying to see if my microphone. It's still would be on. Okay, so can you hear me right this moment?
I can, yes.
Okay, I switched it to my computer for a moment. The poverty simulation, is a like evidence-based simulation for, poverty. And so that may help with some of the IHOPE programming.
Uh-huh,
So I don't know if that's something you might want to help out with.
absolutely.
Did you hear me say, Angie, that my target is the end of April, 2 different sessions, probably within 1 day at Mid-America Science Park?
Okay,
I'm still waiting for that confirmation, and then we'll have to go to city council to get that approved. If we're able to get that space at no cost. So I'm going to see if I can get on their docket for their next meeting, and then I can give an update after that.
okay, just let me know how I can help.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Moving on to new business, the year-end grant report.
Yeah, so I did not mean to panic anyone with that. I just know, like, so D2 had a red ribbon week. That's what they use their funding for. So that's finished. So I went ahead and sent out the year-end grant report for, like, I mean, if they're finished with theirs, then they could go ahead and submit that report. If you have funds that are left over from that, you could always send an email asking to shift those to another prevention education kind of thing.
Probably all follow the council out, in fact, all of them yet. I know.
Okay.
What was spent from something long, but trying to get.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just sent those out early so that everybody had them. It's really critical this year that I get those back on time. I can't be chasing people down because we have to use that information in the final draft of the CCP, which is due March 31st. So that's a really quick, like me getting those grant reports by March 15th, doing all the numbers crunching, and we all know that I don't math, right? Like that, I've made that very clear. So I have to roll all of that back into the comprehensive community plan that's due at the end of March. So I'm like, it's really critical that those funds are back to the county auditor's office if you have unspent funds, and that those grant reports are in by March 15th. So you still have time. I just sent it out just in case, like, some people are finished with their expenditures and want to go ahead and get it done.
Okay, back to school bash.
Yeah. So we usually hold a back to school bash at the end of July, right before school goes back in session. We found this year that if we don't start talking to people now, they don't have funds left over for school supplies and whatever we may need. So we want to start an ad hoc work group to be able to put that together. So who might be interested in helping coordinate that back to school bash? All right, so we got Cody. Does somebody else raise their hand? And it looks like there's a chat. Oh, Marilyn would like to help with the poverty.
Awesome. Thank you, Marilyn.
Bailey, do you think that's something that the YMCA would want to be part of that planning? Okay. Okay. Olivia, is that for the poverty simulation or for the back to school bash?
I can do both.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I will say that we were thinking that the back to school bash, just because of having to cancel in Austin last year. And then the weather was extremely hot, even in Scottsburg, that maybe we could utilize the schools, their schools gyms, so we can be inside. So we get rid of that risk factor as well. Maybe even correlating it with something they have going on. We can ensure people are there and aware.
Yeah, I know both school districts had talked about it being kind of overlapping with their registration. The issue with D2 is that each individual school has like their own individual registration days, so we may have to do like a central thing for that, but.
And instead of our prior history of doing it the week before school starts for certain reasons, since we're going to start planning so soon, we're going to have to go ahead and choose those dates. So we decided that that was not a huge factor going forward, that we make sure that we're really close to the beginning of the school year so the kids actually still have their items at the start.
And we try to do it so close to the first day of school so that we don't have issues of people selling school supplies. Because unfortunately we had that in the past whenever we did it a little bit earlier. So.
And I'm sure you're considering the fair date.
Yeah, the fair is usually 4th of July week, so it's usually early in July. Yeah, we just don't want to stand out in 100-degree weather again.
So I still have all those contacts and everything to share over, and the WWE does want to come back for this year.
Yeah, I've got her on my list. Thank you, Audrey.
Since D2 is gonna have this, or like, would it be possible to have it like happen if we did?
Maybe, yeah.
Because it would be like.
Donald, yeah.
And it would be one location, and it would be inside.
Donald had already offered that space, so that was on the table if need be. He's on it, girl. He's on it.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have anything to add about the back to school bash? Any thoughts, ideas?
I'm thinking sort of for Austin, like if they do like their registration, so our office is directly right in front of the elementary school. I mean, I have asked our director just like approve it, but like if we did registration after the registration, just come to our office, we get all our supplies and have like a two-way street with them kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe that way the school doesn't have to worry about hosting it in their facility along with registration.
And when there's
The high school though, they didn't do it at the elementary. They did all registrations at the high school last year, but it wouldn't matter, I mean, it's still.
It's still, yeah, right
Yeah.
there.
And there would still be outside space for outside activities.
Which that wasn't us, I think we were actually like, should we have the elementary go to the elementary? So, I mean, if that's true, then that would even work better, because if we are registering at 2 different facilities, and then that would be that right in the middle pretty much.
Yeah.
Do you want to find out how they plan to do registration?
Didn't she just have a baby? Oh, okay.
4 days.
I was gonna say, you better not text her if she's in the hospital. Okay.
Last year and the year before, I don't think the decision's made yet, but I'm assuming, has been giving away all the preschool supplies to all the students.
Yeah.
Well, and they did do that last year, but our thought was, well, that's great that they have those school supplies at school, but they also are in need of supplies. That
Oh, I
have-
know.
And
Yeah.
plus hygiene products and things like that. that we would bring
I just
in.
meant for marketing, you may
Yeah.
have people not go back to bash if they do the schools and get supplies, might have to
Yeah.
consider that in the marketing, so there's still a reason to go to that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the physical, I was like, the physicals and the immunizations tend to get a lot of people in too. So, I mean, that's a huge thing. And well, we may need to figure out the mobile unit or what that looks like. I know this year we wound up having more providers on staff for the physicals and that.
Right, so that is another thing, Freddie, I'm sure that you could do that, but it's, if we did it at schools, they would have their own rooms to be able to do the physical and whatever the HIPAA law requires.
So if they did it at the high school last year, if they need to move registration to like legal gym, which is at the elementary school, they could do all that stuff there, and then the other things have to come to our office.
Yeah.
Correct me
They
if
are
I'm
not
wrong,
Yeah.
I'm thinking we did physicals at whole different days.
We did,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, several years ago, it was in the same day. I remember because they used the auditorium somehow. Because booths were all lined up in the hallway there, like in front of the auditorium, and then they used like the auditorium area. So I don't know. I'm like, I think a lot of it'll just be like coordinating with the different school systems and seeing what makes the most sense.
And I, as LifeSpring, went to the schools on those registration days for different booths outside of school hours.
Yeah.
There's options, we just need everything well.
Yeah.
We had a great turnout the year that TLC didn't can't get it out.
Mhm.
It wasn't connected out either. We just had it out from.
Yeah. And that's what we usually have, nearly 400 in attendance at these. So I'm like, they're usually really, really well attended. D2 had a dunking booth last year.
That was fun.
We want to make requests this year about the dunking booth and who we get to dunk. So, I mean, that's our goal.
And the only other thing that I wanted to mention is that I noticed last year, there were several back to school bashes throughout the community. And I don't know if there is any way to pull those resources together.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of things that kind of popped up out of nowhere. And so just trying to coordinate and not reinvent the wheel or kind of duplicate services. So.
And it's exhausting and confusing actually for the community as well. All right, we'll move on to ECHO proposal.
Yeah. All right. So we are working with Holding Space and the Scott County Partnership to submit the next round of OD2A funding, which is basically the ECHO funding that we had over the last couple of years. So part of that, we have to launch a health navigator in the county. And so that would be Holding Space would kind of take on that part. This would allow us funding to continue overdose fatality review. And then this would also help support continuation of some of the prevention programming we have going on in the schools. So we'll kind of give you more information. That proposal is due in February. They have an information session tomorrow. So we've all met once to come up with kind of like a general idea of what we want to do, and then we're going to flesh out that proposal. So we'll let you all know as we know more. And so fingers crossed that we get that round of funding. All right. Now we get to go to the fun part.
Yeah. Safety workshop.
Yeah. Okay, so like I said earlier, the comprehensive community plan is due March 31st, right? But I start that process now because I will have to meet with all of our sector representatives, kind of go through what we've historically granted out, what we kind of want to grant out this year, and how the state wants that to be done. So the first step that the comprehensive community plan wants us to go through is like a collection of aggregate data. So you all should have Post-it notes on your tables. If we need more, I've got a couple more. You can split those stats even more if you need to. I want you to think about what kind of data your specific organization may be able to give us about Scott County. So if I don't know, I'm like looking around the room seeing who's in here, right? So like Steve, right? You may be able to say Scottsburg Police Department had X number of encounters that were substance related in some way, right? Or Lisa, you may be able to say like Teens Linked to Care had so many youth attend the student lounge and we provided so many education, sessions about XYZ. So just kind of jot down what your specific organizations may be able to contribute as far as that data goes. I pull a lot of data from state databases, federal databases, census information. Of course, census information is a couple of years old, right? So I pull all kinds of information. Thank you, Liz. I will get that written. That's where I am today. So kind of jot down some different data points that may be helpful. And that big Post-it sheet back on the back, just last those on there. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes. Are you writing them? Yeah.
That would be your role.
We still use it.
Yeah.
But thank you, Marilyn.
I was gonna say, I just put a Jamboard in, so if anybody's online, we can just put our stuff in there, and then
Yeah.
I can send you guys access to that.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Oh, and if you've not used Jamboard, you can either click on the thing that looks like a little Post-it note. It's the fourth icon down, or the text box, which I think is the sixth down. So if you click on either of those two, it should allow you to type in your text.
I got a couple more pins. Anybody else get it done?
I just want to make sure, like, so, I mean, we have our standard data that we pull, right? But we want to make sure to capture everything. And there may be some reports that I don't even know exist, right? Like, I have no idea what kind of reports you all are able to pull, or Thrive has some crazy reports that they can pull, like pretty extensive. So I would like to be able to include as much data as possible.
I like doing it. When I get like a C-SPAN, then I do a small survey. A very short survey.
Yeah.
So I sent that out, write them to you. And I've seen like 28 kids that just. So then I'll fish that again when I get back. So I had 40 last year. So that's kind of to make sure I represent those. But it's a message was right. They all were columns.
Yeah.
So you see their, they've not been good at all. Or they didn't know it.
Nice.
Yeah. It's all anonymous.
Yeah. Yeah, they're on the big Post-it sheet where Kennedy is. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we would like to be able to include that.
Yeah, I'll turn that one into this.
Yeah. Well, and that's like, I didn't realize Community Corrections has some really cool, like, reporting stuff that they do. So I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I still keep track from where I had the big grant. I keep all my numbers.
Mhm.
Which given, so I know where to see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that may be more accurate too than INYS data. I'm like, INYS, it's funny because I hear kids talk about it all the time. And like, they're so worried that like somebody's going to find out who it is, that I'm like, nobody's going to crunch all of those. Yes, yes.
Or.
Mhm. So yeah, I'm like, I really think that those numbers are probably underreported. I'm like, that's like, we have found that using the numbers of use caught like with e-cigarettes or like vaping devices is probably more accurate. Yeah. Yeah.
And the discipline associated too,
Mhm.
which one's like the class, school, how many,
Yeah.
expulsion.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Nice.
And even though all of our student grade prevention program, we break that down by the grade level, the NAEP programs.
Nice. That's wonderful. Thank you. That's the step where it's like, I mean, we can pull all that, like, yeah. Oh, that would be nice too. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So that's where it's like, I want to be able to include a much more comprehensive overview of the county, where we are now versus where we have been. Yeah.
Just that survey, like I said, from last year to this year. we're all-
Yeah.
Just see it.
Yeah. We're like, okay.
On paper. On paper. They're using this for-
Yeah.
I know they were looking at it, working.
Right. Yeah. All right, so we have some data thoughts, like places we can pull data. So from there, we come up with a list of problem statements, right? So I want you to think about, like, in your line of work, what are some problems that you see in the county, right? We had the big conversation about housing, right? Obviously you don't have to put all of them because I didn't bring that many Post-it notes, but think about your top county issues and what those problems are. And then that's that big Post-it over there. That side. Marilyn's gonna send me the Jamboard. Oh, do we want to? We could do a second page. Oh, there you go. I was like, whoever's organizing that is my hero of the day.
Marilyn, she's everybody's hero.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder what that is.
That's nice.
There's a
Yeah.
couple of pins right there on that planner. Oh. Tina has to organize by county.
Does anybody need different colors?
That's not very many problems over there, y'all. Oh, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Into the universe, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, how are we feeling about problems? We feel like we have problems listed. I see more post-it notes. I feel, okay, feel a little bit more realistic now. Yeah. All right, so next is goals. So what do we want to work on? Right, so this would start in April and work for the following year till March of 2025. So think about goals. You don't have to make these pretty smart goals, right? Like just generally speaking, like what do we need to be focused on? So we'll look at all of this information plus the other data sources and be able to come up with some fancy SMART goals. And as always, those will come before the coalition for approval before anything else. But I know like we just talked about teen vaping not that long ago, right? Or youth vaping, I guess, not even teens, right? They're vaping at 10 and 11 now. So like if that's something we need to be working on, we need to put that on the goals list. Like, so. All right, y'all have enough Post-its? You need more Post-its?
Absolutely, yes.
Tracy sent me a message, she was trying to get here. Oh, I don't know, she sent it to my messenger. It's like, okay. See you she's getting this. Oh, that.
Yeah.
Good morning.
So I shared with Katie, I haven't shared with anybody, I just want to talk about this. In Harrison County, for Baptist School.
Kara
just said, I don't have a lot of answers. Not sure we should.
Oh, but she.
Yeah, it's not a question answer session. It's, this is where we are. What do you need from us? Right, that's a good.
Right, so everybody have their goals, things that they would like to see us work on, kind of listed. Okay. All right, any final thoughts? Like that came up, you're fine, Tania. Yeah, I do have a tripping hazard over here. So what do you all think? Do you feel like being part of this process like feels a little bit more inclusive than maybe the way that it's been done in the past? Okay. So I will take all of this information and start that process. So I won't be here for the next meeting. Dylan and I keep us in your thoughts, right? Actually really keep the Empower Youth in our thoughts, because we have 4 or 5 youth going to Washington, DC with us at the end of the month. So they have to deal with us for like 5 whole days. Yeah, it's terrible. And then if anyone sees Tina next month, there's a problem because she's supposed to be on the beach somewhere. So I will get everything compiled and I will send it over. So Bailey will be leading the meeting next month. And so we'll kind of continue on this process next month. So you guys can see how much like data we've collected, and then we can kind of really start boiling down, because we'll have way more problems than really what we're allowed to put. Like we put all the problems list in the comprehensive community plan, but then we have to pick 3. And so I'll get everything compiled before then, and then you guys can work with Bailey to work on that next step of the process. And then in March, we'll be able to come together for our March meeting, and we'll review what those actual SMART goals are. And then be thinking, in the future too, about like what kind of grants you all might want to write, right? So what kind of programs would you like to see in the county? Because all of our grants need to go back to those problem statements, need to go back to our goals. So. Oh, maybe not. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was looking over there at the problem statements, and it's like, I mean, we've always done really well at making sure that those grants are granted out in line with our comprehensive community plan. But just keeping in mind that like in the clinical world, we call it the golden thread of documentation, right? You have a diagnosis and symptoms, and then you've got some kind of treatment modality that addresses those symptoms, right? And so that all has to line up for that service to be billable. So it's kind of the same thing in this world where like our comprehensive community plan has to make sense with the data. We have to have identified problem statements, our goal statements, and then any funds that we grant out need to be, you know, working toward those problems and goals. So any questions about that process? Okay. No, for some of you that are sector representatives, if you're in the meeting today, I will be reaching out and meeting up to talk about like, what are some specific things in your sector that you see? And we'll kind of go from there. So. We are.
Less than 10 minutes to share some announcements. We ready to move on?
Yep.
So is there any announcements for prevention and education?
On February 9th, with the help of the partnership, we'll be having an 8th grade prevention all day activity called All Stars Conference, kids on the All Stars curriculum, although not with Fidelity, but so we'll have that for all our 8th graders at Stockford.
Any other announcements in the room for prevention and education?
Amazing shake. Oh, what it, okay. JK, not trying to steal your spotlight.
We'll move virtually. Does anybody have an announcement for prevention and education? Anybody in the meeting? All right. Moving on to treatment, intervention, and recovery. Does anybody have announcements for that?
We're actually moving our, tonight is our first Thursday night meeting for Chainbreaker, so 6 years we've been during the day at 12 and we'll be at 6 o'clock now. So hoping to open that up to more families and get more children and, I mean, not just teens, but even pre-teens involved in that. So at 6 o'clock.
Well, I want to throw something out. Tracy's not here to share this, but to explain a little bit more about our crisis stabilization unit. Tracy was able to utilize that to de-escalate a situation if someone wouldn't need to be instead of going to the jail or to a hospital. So please do that in mind. The crisis stabilization unit is a resource there for you to utilize. Any other thing under treatment and prevention or recovery in the room? How about online? Does anybody have announcements underneath the treatment, intervention, and recovery?
I think I do, but hold on, I have to find it first. This is Margot with Building Blocks.
Hey, Margo.
Okay. Did somebody say something about, I didn't hear what the last person said about moving a meeting from the evening to the daytime?
Yeah, Chainbreaker, which is at New Frankfort Pentecostal Church. Did I get that right? Is moving from Thursdays at noon to the evenings at 6. It's Thursday evenings at 6, right?
Let me see. I think Ireland is now doing their, hold on, sorry, let me find it. They're doing a workshop series. I think it's like a 2-month series about helping people in recovery. Let me find it really quickly. I apologize. I just got it this morning. Recovery Cafe Winter Series. It's online. Whoop, whoop. Hold on, here we go. Sorry, friends. It's from January the 11th to February 29th. I could send the flyer, but it's so basically, so it's like the first meeting is about understanding oneself and anchored in recovery. And it just kind of goes on from there. Detox and harm reduction. It talks about triggers and cravings, managing stress and taking care of yourself physically and mentally. So this would be for people who are in recovery and those who are supporting people in recovery.
That's
Um,
awesome.
Yeah, the classes are from sorry. I'm getting there.
It's
I'm-
okay. Yeah. You said something that you do have a flyer. Would you mind getting
I
that?
do.
Krista, where she can get that in the Scott County happenings.
All right, perfect. So it's on Thursdays from 1 until 2:30 p.m. I will send that flyer.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Sorry, guys.
No, don't worry.
Okay.
And if nothing else under treatment, intervention, and recovery, we will move on to justice and law enforcement. Any announcements in that area?
I've got one there. So the Scott County Talk to a Lawyer, they will have a general advice clinic. Now, this can't be criminal. You can't go ask like for criminal legal advice. This is for any kind of like civil type case. But it will be March the 20th. I know that's a bit in advance, but, it's general advice 1:30 to 4, and this will be, an actual in-person clinic. So I do have a flyer. I'll add that to the meeting follow-up. And then, their 2-hour call-in, which is held twice a month. They will have 10 a.m. At noon on the second Friday of each month and 4 to 6 p.m. on the last Tuesday of each month, but that's just a call-in. So anybody could call in and get free, legal advice. So like if you've got questions about child custody, you've got questions about wills or estate planning or any of that kind of stuff, these are some free resources. So like I said, I'll attach these flyers to the meeting follow-up.
And I just realized I had an announcement I didn't make. So the third week of January, I am planning a winter resource fair. I hadn't reached out to I-65 Suites. I did not have luck there. I'm gonna reach out to Donald to see if we can get it done at the YMCA. But the target is gonna be to the homeless and those at risk of homelessness. Having a resource fair for them to have, financial, housing, all of those type of things. But also to provide them with hats, gloves, scarves, anything that they could utilize to keep warm throughout the temperature changes. So please look for that to come out as well. All right. Okay. Empower Youth.
Okay, so we have a lot that has happened and that is happening this month, so just prepare yourself. So,
Online, can you hear Empower?
Yes.
Yes.
And Liz, I do see your question. I'll get back with you as soon as I confirm with Donald. Okay.
So back in December at our rivalry game, it was in November, at our rivalry games, we had our Empowered Together nights where we make these t-shirts that include the Scott County outline, and that also incorporates the school mascots, so Austin Eagles and the Scottsburg Warriors. And it's the sort of like empowered together, though we may be rivals on the court, we try to strive for a unity and community. But, the kids love the t-shirts. We only have about 40 of them. And so we pass out 10 at each game, split them in half between each school. Cheerleaders throw them out between games, and it's a ton of fun. And as far as I know, we have a lot of good feedback on them. I'm excited for next year. And then December 18th, we had our Christmas party at Warriors Den. That was a lot of fun. We just drank hot cocoa and we made bracelets, and we got ice cream too. We had ice cream. And that was our December meeting. That was just fun. And the bracelets that we made were for some pro-social event that is undecided yet, but they're just like little friendship bracelets with positive messages on them, and Empower and Three Colors. And then that Friday after our meeting, we had our elf movie night. We had an ugly sweater contest and the winner won a movie gift card. We had a lot of people turn up, a lot of families, a lot of kids. So, and turn out, I combined that. But it was kind of fun. We passed out Empower beanies and ornaments that had our Empower logo on them. As far as I know, it was a great turnout. Yeah. And then coming up, like, Carissa was talking about, we've got our CADCA DC trip coming up. I had this one coming up twice, but, so we're sending 4 youth, hopefully 5. So myself and then Skylar and Scarlett Harold and Aubrey Eldridge, attending. And our 5th hopeful, anyways, we nominated Kennedy for the National CADCA Youth Leadership Award, in hopes that she would be able to attend as well. We should hear back about that soon. The 27th of January. The 27th. So on the 27th of January, Empower will have 2 tables at the Trivia Pursuit held at Mid-American Science Park. We are thinking of themes currently. We are not sure yet, but we're ready for surprise. We are very excited and hopefully we'll get last place so we can get trophies.
You got 2 shots at
I'm sure we didn't get last place.
And that's very odd to hear, by the way. Just explain about not getting last place.
This year at Trivia Pursuit, we got last place, but we got medals and a plaque.
Okay.
So last year we tried to get, because we have no shot getting first place, like at all, but we want a trophy.
It makes you want to go out and have a turkey meeting for you.
It's just fun, it's fun. It doesn't matter. Well, ironically enough, I think
So we need to have a best youth category. That is fun, thank you.
And
an amazing shake, right?
Yeah, and then we're holding the Amazing Shake at Scotts Lake Middle School on January 2nd, so that'll include Scottsburg January 22nd. January 2nd already happened. So that'll be at Scottsburg Middle School, including, middle schoolers from Austin and Scottsburg. And this is our 3rd year holding it. And we're doing it in January this year with so that we can send our winners to the national competition kind of aspect of it, which is in Atlanta. In March. And we need adults to help, so.
lots of adults.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the cutoff was supposed to be December 15th, for adults to help out, but it sounds like they still need people to sign up.
And what date is that?
January 22nd.
What time?
It's an all-day thing, but you can pick slots.
Yeah, you can. 30 to, 1:30, I think is when the final slot ends on that. So I will add that sign up link to the follow-up email. That should come out probably tomorrow morning. I've got clients right after this.
And I'll say as an adult, I helped with it last year, it is a ton of fun. It will be very exciting. Take the day and do it.
They gave us more deodorant last year. I was so excited.
They did?
They did. They wore deodorant. Yeah, it was a whole thing.
Getting a conflict?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I'm like, we had middle schoolers wearing deodorant, so we're successful.
learning.
I know we're already past time, but is there anything underneath the positive youth experiences that needs to be shared out?
Just, we, do a survey when we get the little CEAS, grant every year for TLC. And so we're still working on it, but the numbers, with the youth that had been using any type, and it covered, vaping, prescription and marijuana. And so those that had, they had lowered 21% and no one had raised. Not one student had said they had increased, so that, yeah, and that numbers will change. I mean, I'm gonna get more and more students to do it. The goal is to have at least 40, from throughout the school. So I try to go for like a 10% range at least, but it's all volunteer and it's all unanimous or anonymous, unanimous. And, so that was very nice to see those numbers. Yeah, so that means 79% though, the 79% wasn't using. And this was random. This was not, I didn't pick my best students. This is all random. And so I had no students that had increased. So out of every student that took the survey, nobody increased or started using, an increase. That is, yeah, so I hope that is what we're gonna see in 2024.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Did anybody take any of that hope? Tina will have to go on for her minute. All right, thank you all for being patient with us today. We will see you all next month. That is the 1st of February. It's our February.